Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Afro Vibes Festival here at DeBalie. And a special warm welcome to everybody who's following us via the live stream and the people in the room. I think we're having technical difficulties while I'm doing my intro. Peter, is that right? Yeah, we're good? Okay. Then we're just going to continue. I'm Isabel Sheridan. I work here as a program editor here at DeBalie, and I'll be your host this coming hour. How do we look at Black and queer bodies? And how can one investigate these perceptions of the body in a performance? This coming hour, I will explore these questions, and I'm not going to do that by myself because that would be incredibly boring. I'm here with two great performers, great people. On my left, I have Kwanele Finch Thusi, model, elected as Mr. Africa in 2021, but most of all, dancer and choreographer, and currently artist in residence here at Afro Vibes Festival.
Yes.
Warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much.
And on my right, I have Igor Vrebach, a choreographer or physical theater maker, originally from Bosnia, but living and working in the Netherlands. Correct?
Yeah.
Correct, totally.
Cool. Well, then we're ready to start. It's interesting because I just introduced you to the audience and kind of also to each other, but you actually know each other already.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How did you guys meet?
I'm going to say online through Zoom.
That's an interesting question.
Marjorie Boston introduced us, and we had a conversation, and from there we took off. We started making a short performance, doing research, and the rest is history. Now we're here.
Two online, and then we kind of gelled and we worked together. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's a nice way of meeting each other.
Yeah.
And can you remember your first encounter with Igor's work? What was the first thing you saw made by him?
Color.
Color.
Yeah. I saw a lot of color. I saw repetition. I saw empty spaces that became very loud. So I saw a work. I forgot the name. Sorry, Ego.
He might help you fill in the blanks.
But you had dancers bouncing.
One on trampolines.
One of the trampolines.
Bungee.
I found it so interesting because I was very interested in how he could see beyond the simple act of jumping or bouncing. Yeah. And then kind of find the language through the body, and then also find concepts out of something so simple, which is very interesting for me also as an artist.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna later on in the show we're gonna watch a small clip of OMG. But first, Igor, I would like to ask you, what did you think of Kwanele's work, Finch?
I googled Finch as well, and his Instagram popped up, and then I saw this enormously handsome, muscular guy who's a model and Mr. Africa. So that was
we can't deny that.
That was
He's handsome.
Well, hello. And then I did some more research, and then on YouTube I found out some of his work, which really to me was about vulnerability, strength, repetition, uniformity. So a lot of themes that I work with as well, however, in a total different form or setting and outcome. So that was really interesting to me, like how
A little adjustment of the mic so we can all hear you better.
like how does he work, and so many things relating to each other, but yet at the same time such a different outcome. So that's always like very interesting. Where do we meet and when do we split, like to go after our own styles?
Yeah, because that is indeed a very interesting question. Where do you think the common things are between you two practices?
Creativity in the sense that as much as ego works differently, I think when we are in a space together, we are able to kind of become very creative by what we see and what we feel and being present in that moment and going with it. I think that's what we how strong our collaboration was by creating Moving Beyond and the piece with the dancers from Code Arts and HKU. I think we were working on impetus, we were working on feeling, we were working on what is coming now, and let's go with that.
A lot of intuition.
It's a lot of intuition.
Yeah,
and I think that's very common with us. I feel ego is very good in censoring the room. That means, I don't know what that means. Kind of like, okay, I'm not doing this now, or if and it was so strange because there would be moments where how we would do the workshops with the students is that we would maybe I would come in and then ego would go, okay, you can go, I'll just stand on the side and observe, and then funny, maybe I was thinking exactly what he was thinking, or I would go to him and I'd be like, oh, why don't you put like a lamp over there, or maybe they can all start laughing at the same time, and he'll say like, oh, actually I was also thinking the same thing. So I think that collaboration was very, very, our energies linked, and our creativity then allowed
a kind of symbiosis
and
in a way.
We always said yes to each other, I think.
Yes.
In my experience, that we never said like, but why, or no, let's not do that. It was always like, for example, this lamp, like, why not? Let's do it.
It's crazy, but let's do it.
Yeah, or maybe it's beautiful, or crazy but beautiful. So we kept saying yes to each other, and I think that's the best way to work each other on such a short notice. And we only had 12 days to put something together for 20 to 30 minutes. So, and what I also think the main common thing is that we seek both the humanity in the performer on stage. So whatever technique or whatever background you have, culturally or artistically, it really doesn't matter to us. We just want to see personality and realness, I think, as RuPaul would say it. Like, it's like we want to see you and not your school or your technique. And that is, it was sometimes it was really hard for the students because they are so schooled to perform at their best by the rules of the school.
That perfection almost masks somebody's
in a way what they think it's the best, and they worked so hard because they're in the fourth year. And I remember when I was in my fourth year, like doing internships, like it was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the best internship ever. And then you realize, but wait a minute, I'm passing my limits or like my own creativity. And so in a way we also had to challenge them by pulling them back to their own strength, which they already possessed in a way. So.
I was also wondering, well, this sounds like a match made in heaven, by the way you said yes to each other and really gave each other space to explore your own creativity, but also together. What did you learn from each other? Like maybe in terms of techniques, but also insights?
I think I'll talk a little bit about approach. As much as we spoke about approach, Ego's way of working is very different from my own kind of studying when I was studying in university.
In what way?
So studied at Forgotten Angle Theatre Collaborative, which is based in Johannesburg, but then they moved to Mpumalanga. It's directed by PJ Sabecha. And PJ Sabecha, well, I did an internship, and then I got into the company. And that was the only dance training that I did.
Yeah.
And his way of working, I adopted it because he was more in the students or in with the dancers. So he would come in the rehearsal space and kind of do and move with us. Or if I was moving, he would literally take my foot or my hand and put it there and go, now breathe. Like, I wanna see you breathe. I wanna see you open up.
Yeah.
So that was more visceral. I had a visceral upbringing in terms of my dance training. And with Ego's way of working is also very intimate and very personal. So one-on-one. But he can also have a sense of kind of stepping out and observing and wanting the students to come up with it instead of giving the students the actual kind of choreography or
so
direction.
it's a two-way street.
Yeah. So I found that so beautiful to learn from Ego, which is something I think I definitely want to adopt in my teachings, where there's a balance between going in with the students or with the dancers or with the collaborator or the dancer, but also stepping out and directing and seeing it from an umbrella, seeing it in a bigger as an ego, which is something that it's really,
funny
really
because
good.
I have, of course, the opposite. I want to step in more. And I see him work and dance and sweat with the students on stage. I'm like, wow. Let's try that next time when I'm making or whenever that will be. But it's really interesting to see how you can come up in the movements in the moment with a new movement and step by step make this choreography, so to speak, which is really different than how I work. Like I maybe. On the first sequence, like we call it the sisterhood sequence, I maybe worked for 3 hours with the two dancers. Yeah. I think you also work way faster in that sense, that I really want to dive into the movement and connect them, find dynamics, the meaning, the depth, like what do they mean to you and why are you moving the way you're moving. And you go way faster through it and then later come back to it. So it's in your process, I think it's also more repetitive than mine, which is, I think, a good difference as well. And that's something to me, like the time and the repetition is really interesting to embed in my own work as well.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful to hear that so much can be gained from a good collaboration. Well, before we continue this part of the conversation, I would like to delve into your personal artistry a little bit more. Finch, I would like to start with you because in preparation of this interview, I heard that you find it hard to call yourself an artist. And I was really wondering what you were, what you mean by that.
Find it hard to call myself many things. I always called myself an artist when I was learning about art. And it was, for me, it was the stereotypical kind of definition. An artist is a person that looks like this and dresses like this and thinks like this and acts like this. And so I grew up in kind of wanting to be that image.
Because what does that image look like for you?
I mean, when I was growing up, the artist that I knew, first of all, was my teacher, my dramatic arts teacher, who had lots of bangles and she had different colors and she was almost like a hippie, had like different colors every day. She would be very expressive and loud with her words. And she was like, she read a lot of books and she was smoking with tea all the time. No, I think, I think, and I thought, okay, maybe I should also be that. And then for a year or maybe 2 years, I tried. I was like,
Angles.
yeah.
He still smokes though.
Sometimes.
Ooh, the gossip at this table.
Sometimes. I think, and then I grew out of it. I grew out of it because I thought that wasn't me.
Yeah.
And I think I find it hard to call myself an artist because of the many kind of definitions that I employed in the term artist.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think I am is more powerful for me than saying I am this or I am that. And it speaks a lot to also my queer identity. A lot of people think queer identity is all about sexuality, when it's more than just sexuality. It's about more than what we see, more than what people have read about. And I think I've adopted that in my work. I've adopted that which is other. I've adopted the other in my own way of living also. In my relationships, I never want to be the stereotype or be the you are black queer, so therefore you need to look like this and do work that looks like this, and so that
categories
you fit
are
into
limiting.
the category. And so most of the work for me now, and the person that I am, kind of presents the idea, but then goes deeper into it in terms of getting inside the work, getting inside who I am. And it's funny because then a lot of people go to my Instagram and they say, is he really an artist or is he just the model?
Well, that's an interesting that you point that out.
And that's the challenge that I always present to people so that they don't type box me.
Yeah, because how are those like being an underwear model on the one side and being an artist, but also being so much more, as you just pointed out.
Yeah.
How do you rhyme those identities also for an audience, or maybe it's just interesting to challenge them with the perceptive?
Funny, I actually had when I was growing up, I thought to myself that I was going to, not understand my identity, which in the beginning, yes, of course. I mean, I grew up in an Indian school. I grew up with an Indian family, eating Indian food, training in learning Bhagavad Gita, training in Kathak dance, then went all the way to my mum, who lives in a rural Zulu background, and then going into divorcing with my dad, and then moving to my grandfather, who's very traditional, Sangoma, Zulu, African traditional, then going back to me being a devotee, and then finally coming to Johannesburg to then kind of see all of these puzzles. And then I started embracing the many personalities that I have. I started embracing the many bodies that have lived and experienced me in the past. And so when I can tap into that young boy who was an Indian Hindu devotee, I can tap into him. I can tap into that Mr. Africa who sees the beauty of the masculine body, who wants to show it off and not hide it. And then I go back into the artist who wants to reveal what is deeper than just the body, and speak about the language and the concept. And I think all of that for me is who I am.
Yeah.
And therefore, I cannot just be one.
No, I can't.
I am many.
Yeah. Is it also, because this is the way you explain this is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Is it always as easy to kind of like show this multitude of identities to the outside world? Because I totally understand that for you, it's very understandable that you can tap into all these different things and be yourself at the same time. But is it also how does the outside world look at that?
Firstly, my intention is never to show anybody anything. That's not my task in this world.
Noted.
And I never owe anybody an explanation of who I am and what I do.
Yeah.
I think if I tend to, for example, then I have to do a performance or a festival such as Afro Vibes, I definitely have to then use more of my artistic and more of my artistic self, which I tap into as much as I tap into my kind of commercial work that I do. And I think it's always about being present in every single moment. But when it comes to me having to present, it, either because maybe I have to do a performance or I am wanting to present an idea, and therefore then I go into it with the intention of representing and presenting that concept or idea. But for me, my daily life, I walk out, whatever I want to do, I do it. It's actually funny because when I came to Amsterdam, I saw a lot of the me's in me because I'm also the waiting for the train, go home, sleep, go. Even in South Africa, I'm that kind, which is very interesting for me to find that even in Europe, I can find similarities of my own identity here.
Yeah. We're going to talk a bit more about that in the next part of the panel.
Cool.
I was just wondering, Igor, how is this for you? Do you find it... What do you think about when you hear the concept artist? Is that something you relate to, or do you have like a similar experience as Finch does?
Yeah, a little bit. It's such a big title to carry and an obligation to fulfill, I think. So I sometimes say it in the context of when you have to explain someone what you do, or like I work in the performative arts, but it's I find it hard to name myself an artist in the sense that it's just a big title to carry, I think. And even though I study at the School of Arts, it's still like I don't know, it feels heavy. So I like to kind of like show myself instead of, well, there you go. Well, that's an old picture.
Yeah, we brought some images.
I was about to say I never show off my body, but
Ta-da!
I forgot about this one. No, this is in the period that I made solo performances. So, yeah. Hi. No, but I can definitely relate to when you say like I like to dive into the depths of different personalities and show them all or be them all. I can relate that with my cultural background, growing up in the Netherlands and studying in Holland. It's really sometimes you feel really like torn into 1,000 pieces, and yet you feel like, oh, it's really hard sometimes, but also very, very powerful and beautiful to possess them and to know them all. And you never get like, well, sometimes you get tired of knowing other pieces from yourself, but also exploring them deeper or showing them even more via the work or performances. So in that sense, this artistry or being an artist, it means, I think to me, really like knowing yourself even more in all the levels that you have as a human being, without feeling the obligation to show it to the world.
Yeah.
By coincidence, I do that through theater and dance, I think, but I could also do that through writing or just, I don't know, taking on this shirt, for example. So it's really, it's the same to me. So
it's the process. For me, I'm actually in the process of thinking about the process of naming things. Is that every time I'm in a dinner or you meet somebody, it's always, hi, my name is, and I do this. And the only reason we always say I do this is so that person can kind of know how to interact with you. If you say I'm a doctor, then you know, oh, okay, then let me give him or her some more respect. Oh, he probably knows about this, or, you know, or I am an artist. Oh, okay, probably doing some
must be hard
work.
for you.
So hard. You know, how do you survive? How do you
eat?
How do you eat?
Yeah.
And so the whole thing of naming things is just a society inscribed language, which as an artist, more than as art, it's our job to kind of put that against the audience and let them see that this is what the society is, and therefore we can change that.
Yeah. Delving into one of the themes you discuss in your work, a lot of your artistic work revolves around the black body and how people perceive it. Mm-hmm. I was just wondering when did you start questioning that perception of the black body?
Well, I think the work that I've presented and I've been working on for the past 6-7 years now is PINA. So PINA started in 2017 out of my kind of yearning to understand my own identity, one, sexuality, two, but also my relationship with not just men around, not just black men around where I was staying in my community, but also with my father. I felt that I grew up wanting many different things. He grew up as a karate instructor. And he was into martial arts and like the black belt and all of that, which is so interesting. But then I grew up in it's kind of the same sport or genre, but I was more into the very soft way of moving the body, contemporary dance, ballet. And so I would walk out like in the morning in a leotard, I'm wearing a leotard in tights. And I'm just like this thin boy. I've got tights on, I've got makeup, probably I'm going to do a performance. Yeah. And he just never understood it. And also I was trying to understand, then what is this thing called man? Mm-hmm. What is it? Is it what? So as I was growing up, a lot of the kind of the books that I read kind of gave you the same definition. Mm-hmm. A man looks like this. A man loves a woman or is in love with another woman and needs to act strong and powerful and never vulnerable and never open. Mm-hmm. So I grew up with knowing that, but my heart and my way of being was never agreeing to what that is. Yeah. And so most of the work for PINA came from the interviews, asking very simple questions. What is man to you? After that, I went to Grahamstown Arts Festival, where it was a collaboration with Drama for Life. And Drama for Life just approached me and they said, Kwanele, we just want you to interpret this thing about masculinity. And what I did for that performance was a site-specific performance. And all I did was stand at different spaces around the garden. Just stand and look at the audience for I think the performance was like an hour, maybe 90 minutes. And so you'll find different people walking, dogs, cats, whatever, children, and they'll just see this body just standing. Out of that, then I started working as a solo, working in the solo in terms of for PINA. And I went back to my own cultural upbringing, which is a Zulu cultural upbringing. Yeah. And I realized that even with the songs are very heteronormative, that the songs that we sing in our ceremonies are heteronormative, that they are always pursuing this big, gigantic idea of a man that is very vulnerable and strong. Mm-hmm.
The very traditional idea of masculinity.
And cannot be broken.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I noticed, I remember this old man I was speaking with, black man, and he told me one thing that I'll never forget. He said, it's so hard for me to be a man. I think he was about, 70, in the late 70s. He said, because when I'm with my wife, I have to be the husband, I have to be the giver, I have to be the provider, I have to be the financial giver, I have to be strong, I have to be so many things. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, it's very difficult. Yeah. But I can't not do it because these are the many platforms and things that are that are given to us by society growing up.
The limiting
Yeah.
box that is also traditional masculinity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I was wondering because PINA is. I was wondering specifically how has it affected, like working on PINA, because you've been working on it for a long time. How has it affected your own relationship with your body?
Oh, I think it has. It's a beautiful question. PINA has brought me closer to the soft energy that I kind of shut down a lot, especially growing up in such a heteronormative society, and it has allowed me to accept the softness. Long story short, going into a relationship, going into a traumatic after you break up, I shut down, I got depressed, I got stressed, and I was just a full vulnerable. Then after that I went into a reality TV show.
As one does when one breaks up.
Because I thought I was going to find love, and I didn't find love, I actually found myself. I found...
Maybe better even.
It was so much better, and I realized that it was because I didn't love myself that enough. Yeah. And so coming out of it, I'm much more able to accept my good and my bad, my dark and my light, my masculine and my feminine, my moments of toughness and weakness, and see them all as this beautiful process of existing. Yeah. So PINA becomes a voice, it becomes a song, it becomes a chance to go back to who I am inside. And I love working with Thusi, Clinton, because he's also so and he's very strict. You know, you can never know if Thusi's mad or is he angry. He's very one-sided. So it's quite interesting working with somebody who's also very different, and to be able to then connect on stage. In that moment, and I think, oh wow, then why was I overthinking this when all I needed was to connect with not just me but with the people that are next to me. Yeah,
it's a process. Igor, I was also wondering, your focus in your work maybe focuses more on the queer body, and how has your artistry affected your relationship with your own body? Because it's also very physical, and you have your own story.
It's very confronting, in a sense.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I always realize that I demand a lot from the performers in the sense of showing this human personality on stage, in his essence, in his full vulnerability and basically nudity as well. Like physically, but also emotionally and mentally. When you're on stage, I want you to be there 100% aware of your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your energy. Like, I need you to know the space that well. So it's really in that sense how I performed when I was on stage. So that's something that I translated into my work as a director or as a maker and creator. But on the other hand, translating it into movements which are really tough and long and heavy sometimes, it goes to pain. And when you reach that spot and you go beyond pain, you get into pleasure. So I get a lot from my performers when they work with me. It's like when they are being interviewed, or when people ask them how does that feel, that must be really, really hard. You see a big difference from before the performance and after the performance, just in their face, because they are so more connected to themselves, because they have no energy to put on a mask. And therefore it's really confronting. Like, I really want to go there every single day and to be open and, you know, to have an open heart and fully be present in the now. At the same time, it's a big practice to do that, I think, in our society. But therefore on stage, and the performers can give that to the audience to show what it means to be fully present and vulnerable, which is very confronting as well and very touching. And people people can't take it sometimes. So
Yeah.
sometimes they walk away, but most of the times they start crying or feel very touched and blessed by seeing the performance. So
That's beautiful.
It's a big big privilege to work with strong bodies.
Strong bodies, able dancers. Yeah.
Strong bodies, able dancers, and but also willing to go there in the process of rehearsals to dive into your personal powers and your vulnerabilities and your, like you say, like all the whole spectrum of being a human. It's not just like, oh, I'm an artist, I'm a performer, then I'll do this.
Yeah.
And sometimes one goes further than the other, and that's totally fine. But it does give them an extra layer to how do you say that? Like to get energy from, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. We're going to continue with the second part of this battle, but before that, we have a special musical intermezzo by DeBalie. She's sitting here, right here. DeBalie is a singer-songwriter, musician, and producer, born and raised here in Amsterdam, raised in an Eritrean household. Her album is coming out 11th of November. Go check it out. It's her debut album. So give a warm welcome to DeBalie.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Hello. Thanks for having me. So my name is DeBalie, and I'm going to play a couple of songs for you. The first one is called All One. Just have more fun when I am the only, when I am the one, when I'm the only one in the room, smoke in the room. Oh, you may come and join me in my sacred space. We smoke the finest kind, we clear and calm our minds. We have no sense of time, we practice loving kindness. Need no telephones, no, unless it's no names. Oh, then it's okay, forget your money. We live of honey, we keep it busy. Love is the business, we live it easy. Nature is calling, oh, 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 yeah, oh, oh, oh. I wanna be free with me, live in peace and harmony. Now if so, then listen to me. Vision is the key, so let's close our eyes to see. We must faithfully believe. Oh, a tree was once a seed. A mountain will be sand. Oh, you've got the universe in your hand. Yeah, and I mean it, you gotta see it. It's in every little thing. All is connected, future affected by what you think and feel is ultimately real. I've been looking and looking for ways to heal. I thought I was too sensitive, not knowing that it is my gift, so you can't lie to me. I listen with my body, don't need my eyes to see. Cause when I'm empty, I'm happy. I free my mind like it's 5D. Every day feels like Sunday. Take it slow like it's payday. I run my own biz. I'm with my soulmates. One love and no hate. Self-love feels so great. Connected to the tree of life. Open your eyes and realize it was already there, right before your eyes. We are in paradise. Thank you. Yes, thank you. All right. So the next song is called Joy, and in 2021, I was in Ethiopia, and while I was there, I was asked to write a song with the thought "Joy as an act of resistance," and I didn't like the question because of the people that it came from. So I decided to write the song with everything but joy as an act of resistance. But lately, I've been thinking about it again, and the meaning of resistance, and I think it's beautiful. But now I'm also trying to find the joy in surrender. But so it's not in the song yet, but I just wanted to give that as well. So the song is called Joy. It's not about the money that you have or that you lose. Not about family that you get or that you choose. Not even about fame, success, the job that you do. You gotta find joy in existence. Sometimes it's hard to choose yourself with love and follow through. See, all these opinions make it so damn hard to move. So don't forget this life is yours, every second just for you. You gotta find joy in persistence. So live, cry, dance, and sing. Enjoy the joy you bring. Unleash the wild within. I had to learn and ask myself how I feel and where I wanna go. Not to live in past regrets, forgive and take it slow. Take every moment as it comes, and when it's over, let it go. And then I found joy in abundance. When everybody turns left and right, I wanna go. Yeah. It doesn't make me feel bad, 'cause deep down I know I'm here to walk my own path, and I'm not afraid to show that there is joy in the difference. So I laugh, I cry so much and dance in my room, oh sing. I enjoy the joy I bring. I follow the voice within. We gotta learn to speak love and practice what we preach. There's no need to seek love, we'll find it when we see that we are one. It's simple, we gotta let each other be, and then we'll find joy in acceptance, and we're free. All right, thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So,
This is on. This is on. Thank you so much. That was so touching and beautiful, and I think a beautiful message. Yeah. Thanks so much.
My
Give her
pleasure.
one more round of applause. Come on,
Thank
guys.
you.
So then we come to the last. Well, take a small 20 minutes for the remainder of our conversation.
Okay.
Finch, I would like to start with you again. Well, as an artist, you move between South Africa and Western Europe. Does your work get a different meaning depending on the context, whether you perform something in, well, let's say South Africa or somewhere here in Europe?
Most definitely. I think in the sense that the work that I do has a lot to do with how the audience, especially Western or what, I don't know if Western is the correct word, but European audiences see the black body. And when I was working with the show and kind of doing my research, I found two things. The first one is, this is not just in a European sense, but in a general sense, when you see two black, or maybe not two, but you see a black body on stage, there's either two ways of looking. There's the look that is looking at the body as exotic, as seeing it for pleasure, or seeing it seeing it in the kind of the opposite sense where you feel sympathy for. So most artists, especially the work that I've seen where I come from in South Africa, most of our black artists, what we've continued to do is that we continue to work on exposing our vulnerability, our pain, especially for European audiences. And I think most of that work for me, as much as it's a good starting point, I don't think it should be the starting and the end point of what we have as our stories. Our stories as black people and as black communities should never be just about pain or struggle, or should never just be about the pursuit for freedom or liberation. I think there's more that we can talk about.
There are more narratives.
There's more narratives. There's more beauty. There's the in-between. There's the abstract. There's the minimalism. There's the all of the other stuff that happens around, which I'm trying to explore in the work that I'm doing now. And so I always try to confront myself, firstly, in my own black body, by how deep can I go into this performance that I'm doing, and then also to confront the audience so that they don't see just the physical, but they see the human, they see the depth, they see the yearning, the story. Which is I think for me what PINA is totally about.
Does this also relate to decolonizing the black body? Is this what you mean by that?
Yes, I think a lot of our black writers and scholars have always pushed the kind of the conversation around decolonization. And I think decolonization is always, for me, about observing and being very conscious. For example, most of the work that we do, or the language that I speak in English. That's not my mother language. My mother language is Zulu. But for you to hear me, I have to speak in a language that is dominated, and it continues to dominate. For me, getting lost around Amsterdam, I have to speak in English. I can't go, because bridge. Nobody's going to understand that. Yeah. The second part of it is that most of the kind of the way our world has put on the kind of, colonization is still existent even now, through the texts that we read, through the media, just walking out. For example, you'll see that the robot is green, which is fine, but the most dominant lines are white lines. They are the ones that tell you to move or not move. You go to high school. I know in my primary school even, children are still being taught that actually black people are the minority and that black people suffered. Why are we still learning that in 2022? It's always about the pursuit for the black person to be liberal and to be liberated, which I don't say that it's a wrong thing, but I'm saying that there is more to that. Yeah. And maybe then the more for me is what the piece is about. Yeah. It's the piece is that the kind of the impetus or the platform that we are given is through dance, is through doing a show. But when the audience leaves, they leave feeling so visceral, feeling so in their bodies, and not just seeing two black guys sweating on stage. There's joy that happens. there's emotion, there's pain, there's happiness, there's sadness. And they feel all of these things just through the process, because we also go through it. And that for me is what is the most important, which is what is the beyond that I'm working towards.
Yeah. I think both of your kinds of work also kind of try to maybe influence the discourse as well, or have like some kind of like political side to it. Do you feel that like societal engagement or societal effect is a prerequisite for being a good artist?
No,
No?
not to me at least. I thank you for putting out the words political to my work, but I wouldn't see it like that. No, to me it's very personal, and therefore maybe political. But I never strive to put like a political touch to it. Or, of course, you can choose that perspective or paradigm. But to me, it has nothing to do with politicality, or it's really being a human being with a body and challenging that body. That is like the first and foremost goal that I have in mind when I create or come up with a concept, and how can I challenge that with the message, of course. But that message is also in its in an abstract form, so it's not only that message that you have to see or swallow when you see the performance. It's more to that. Therefore I like repetition and endurance, so to kind of to make it hard and easy at the same time. It's really hard to explain if you didn't see the performances. But
I can imagine.
Like taking one movement for 55 minutes, you have to be able to keep that tempo up as a performer, but also as a maker to create an interesting dramaturgy for the audience to keep up with it. And it's basically a story of it's a book of one sentence, so to speak. So how are you gonna place your letters and your intonations and your rhythms, and when do you turn the page, and that, so it's really telling more a personal story than a political one to me.
Yeah. Is that the same for you? Or?
Yeah, I think for me it goes back to the first conversation we talked about, naming things. That as an audience or as a reviewer or somebody who critiques work, you always want to box. So even political for me is still a typecasting that it should be about this, then are you referencing that? I've got so many questions from the audience saying, but why did you use the word PINA? Because there's Pina Bausch. And are you like referencing her work? Are you like, I was like, when I did it, when I got the title for the work PINA, before it wasn't called PINA, it was called Amahubo. And Amahubo in Zulu means songs or songs of songs. And it was a small book that my grandmother used to kind of teach me to say, okay, you need to learn these words, and so that you're going to go in front of people on church, and then you're going to say it. And I just couldn't. I always fumbled the words up. So I would read, and then I'll sing, and then I'll get lost, and then I'd get so frustrated, and then she'd be like, no, come down, go for it. And I just never. So Pina is a song in Setswana. It means a song. But it was beautiful because people then were like, oh, wow, I didn't know that it meant song. It means that we could always rewrite. We could always rewrite or reinscribe the words that are given to us. So like Pina, a lot of people think Pina Bausch. But now when they see Pina, they think, oh, wow, then it means song. It means visceral. It means much more than just what I know. So even the word political can go out, and you can reinscribe political to be something that is not just about divide, that it can be something more than just about power. which is what I'm always pushing, is that we push and we change and we subvert the narrative, because the narrative is not serving anybody in this room, not serving anybody online, but the narrative is keeping us where we should be, which is divided, which is all about, okay, we still need to be out of decolonization. We shouldn't.
Yeah. I think maybe political wasn't the right word to use, but I was kind of wondering to what extent you feel like you have a duty toward maybe not duty towards your audience, but in terms of to what extent you want to change the audience minds about something, to what extent you want to challenge them when it comes to the black body, when it comes to gender. I think that's what I kind of meant with political.
Yeah, I think I was about to ask, what do you mean by political? But I think, I can now kind of give the answer to myself. But yeah, this challenge of perspectives, like to change perspective or even challenge it, question it, that is like, it's a goal beside like just doing what you love and creating the idea that you have and putting them on stage and finding this necessity to like, oh my God, I have to do this, otherwise I will die, you know. That's something that I always feel. And then when I'm done, when the premiere is there, and then I'm like, okay, what's next? So it goes on. So that need is first, it's a priority. And then to change this perspective, of course, you hope that people will leave the space and think like, wow, I've never seen something like this, or that really made me think of whatever, and or that is something really new to me, or I felt this and this. And my main goal basically is to make people not think with their heads but with their underbelly, to really
like a feeling,
like really sink into their lower parts of the body, to feel connected with intuition, creativity, sexuality, to really be kind of tickled over there.
Yeah. And it's so different, because when I go into the commercial side of me, all of the visceral and what I'm talking about is totally I store it in a box in my brain, because in the commercial world it's not about that. It's about, how do I create the magic, how do I create the sensation. And what I'm able to do is to travel between all of these worlds, but also find that even in the commercial world, their visceral is not the visceral that I describe in theater, and that's also okay.
Those two things can coexist.
Correct.
Yeah. Then I want to ask you one last thing about one of your performances at Trends. In that performance, you try to let the audience experience their bodies beyond gender, and I was wondering what that means to you, beyond gender.
To transcend what we know about masculinity and femininity, I think, hence the name trans, I think, because it's such it's a word that you can put in front of other words. I don't know the English name for it, but I think you know what I mean. So it's written with the Danish AE. So two letters combining one refers to two performers, a man and a woman being on stage in high heels, both wearing just undies, and walking circles and getting into trance as well. So to me the goal was to really transcend the image of what like the known image. Why can't a woman, of course a woman can be topless on stage, and a man can wear high heels on stage as well and still be a man and a woman, but also not, in a way, because they look the same, they wear the same shoes, so it's this gray area that I really want to expose and question, and just let it be for an hour.
Which leads me to the last question. The piece you made together, Moving Beyond, also again that word beyond, kind of like transcending those boxes, those fixed identities, a theme that we've been discussing for the last hour, I think. What does the beyond stand for in that title? How did you come up with that?
Marjorie?
We didn't.
Well,
It's a title of the residency. I
oh,
think.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in that
it was
case-
given to us.
in that case, you didn't have a choice, which is also okay. We can ask Marjorie later. She's in the room, people, if you want to know.
No, but I think it's a really good one to answer still.
Yeah.
Like moving
Did it
beyond.
fit with you?
Yeah, it does. To me, it does. It's moving beyond the known that you already know. Because how I work, and I think also how you work, we discussed about writing plans and concepts for financing your performances.
Yeah.
And of course, there are differences the way you do it and how it's done and expected in South Africa and the Netherlands. So it's besides that, it was also like letting go of a theme or like letting go of a certain type of style or movement or even costumes or set design. We just came up with that during those 3-4 weeks that we worked together. So it was really moving beyond. I always start figuring these things out before I start rehearsing, because you have to apply for money, so you have to know what's going to be on stage, how
money
many
rules
performers,
world.
you know. So everyone needs to get paid, and is it 3 or 5 performers? And now we didn't have that responsibility. So to me, it was really like moving beyond and just diving into the deep creative parts of our soul and just connect on the workspace.
Yeah, same with me, because I thought it was moving beyond our barriers, my own barrier coming from South Africa to be in Amsterdam, moving beyond location, moving beyond culture, moving beyond language, moving beyond the physical self, and going and tapping into more or the spiritual self also, moving beyond language, moving beyond sexuality and or personalities, moving beyond our kind of way of working, our traditional way of working, and tapping into something that is different or in that moment. So it was moving. It was moving to be in this. It moved me beyond.
Well, I think that's a beautiful note to end this conversation on. Unfortunately, there's so much we didn't talk about. Go check out all their work. They're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Kwanele Finch Thusi.
Thank you.
Igor Veebach. Thank you so much. Give them a warm applause. I will quickly close the evening. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, viewers at home. At 8:30, you can see the beautiful performance PINA, which we have been discussing. I hope to see you all there. Until next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.